Is doing that. Good morning, everyone. Like I said earlier, I'll be speaking to the slides prepared by Akinrinde Adeniyi Felix. Akinrinde was one of the people who benefited from the award training on gender matters some months back. And this is his own way of giving back to the community. So he prepared this slide, but as we are speaking now, he's getting married this morning. So I will be speaking to the slides in the next few minutes. The topic he has is disaggregating gender terminologies. Disaggregating gender terminologies. And this is all about trying to now separate gender terminologies into small units for better understanding. So in the next few minutes, we'll be talking about the different terminologies that we use in gender studies. Let's go on.
Sorry, I'm having a challenge. The slide is not moving, so I want to see. Okay, beautiful. Okay, objectives.
So we are looking at the fact that by the end of this session, participants should be equipped with the knowledge of the following gender terminologies: gender sensitivity or blindness or discrimination, gender bias, gender balance, gender awareness in agriculture, and gender responsiveness. The very first one being considered is gender sensitivity. What is gender sensitivity? Gender sensitivity refers to an attempt to encounter and accept people without presumptions, saying that gender sensitive approach aims at opening, reconstructing, and broadening expectations and behavioral models related to gender. Gender sensitivity is a process by which people are made aware of how gender plays a role in life through their treatment of others. Some people are not aware that we have gender roles. So to be sensitive is to be aware that in a workplace, at home, wherever you find yourself, that there are gender roles. So we usually have gender sensitivity trainings used to educate people to become aware and be sensitive to genders within, their environment, to be considerate of other genders' feelings. Gender sensitive work identifies different ways of manifesting gender, but does not reproduce them without questioning. If you look at the pictures there, just at a glance, you have an idea of how a male is manifesting with the beard. We have the female with the earrings and the way the hair is packed and so on. And we are saying that gender sensitivity is not the same thing as gender neutrality. To be gender neutral is not to even have, not to be sensitive at all to the fact that there are gender roles in one's environment. And there is a picture there that tells us that sexism, that sensitivity is an antidote to sexism. When you are sensitive, you don't go out of your way to oppress or to do things that will make the other gender feel offended in a workplace or even in any environment. We can move on. The next terminology here is gender bias. And this refers to the tendency to prefer one gender over another. It's unconsciously done. It's something that is common around. You find someone who has preference for a female gender. In some cases, others will have preference for a male gender. So not only these attributes, certain attitudes and stereotypes to another person or a group of people. Like I'm building on what Dr. Olajibe just presented. You have people who already believe that maybe some people, maybe because they are male, they are the They're the ones that can do certain jobs. A female can really be a nurse. Are you hearing me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
So that these ascribed behaviors, when you ascribe behaviors certain people, it affects how we understand individuals and how we engage with others. Before you even get to know someone, you have already ascribed a particular behavior to that person because you believe that this person is male, that person is female, and these are what females do. These are what males do. When you have this, you say there is gender bias. Like I said, it's not necessarily towards the female. It could be towards female. It could be towards the male gender too. Let's move on, please. Then there is a list here of examples of gender-inclusive generic occupations or expressions. When you call a cameraman, this is a gender-based word. Cameraman. Under the gender neutral, this same person is referred to as camera operator. A camera operator may either be female or male. When you call that person a cameraman, it's already gender. A chairman or a chairwoman, a gender neutral person. A fireman. The gender neutral terminology for that is firefighter. A firefighter can either be female or male. When you say a foreman, it connotes that a man is a one. A man could either be female. The gender neutral terminology for that is supervisor or person. Male man, for example, also.
I'm sorry, please, can you unmute yourself, Professor Fawole?
Okay, thank you. I've done that. Okay. A male man can, under the gender neutral list, can be referred to as a mail carrier, a letter carrier, a postal worker, which connotes either female or male. It doesn't have to be male. When you say a policewoman or a policeman, it's already gender-based. A police officer is a gender-neutral terminology. You have spokesman, spokesperson. These are just examples. A waitress. Server is a gender-neutral term that will take care of either male or female. When you are referring to someone, to man something, you're already saying that the person doing that particular task is a man. Whereas you can use the same to operate or to staff, as a gender-neutral terminology. So these are just examples. There are several of these. The next terminology we would like us to consider is gender balance. And one of the erroneous beliefs about gender is that it's all about women. The previous the speaker already spoke at length about that, to make us know that when you are talking of gender, we are talking about gender roles of both the male gender and the female gender. So by gender balance, we are referring to a situation where both males and females have equal opportunities and access to matters in all the institutions of the society. Namely, in the religious world, in our churches, in our mosques, when you have both male and female having equal opportunities, you say there is gender balance. And can we really say that today? Then economy. In the way the economy is in any society, the males and the female, do they have equal opportunities in taking bank loans, for instance, in having access to some other things in the society? Education. Do males and females have same equal opportunities in having education? We know communities where females are not even allowed to go to school at all, because at a tender age, they are married off. In our culture, do we have equal opportunities for males and females? We have communities where the female gender cannot even say anything, cannot say anything in the family. Though she might be senior to the males, when matters that are of importance are being discussed, she's supposed to keep quiet because she's female. And also in politics. When you look at the, in our nation, for example, when you look at the people who are in politics, when you look at the people who make policies and all of that, do we have equal opportunities? Are females represented as well as the male genders? When you have gender balance, both genders have equal opportunities. When you look at this picture that's on this slide, the central one is showing us balance. The left one is showing that there's a tilt towards the female gender. And then the right one, there's a tilt towards the male gender. So what we are saying is that gender balance is that central one when you have equal opportunities for both male and female genders in all matters in the institutions of our society. The next terminology is gender equality or equity. The last speaker dwelt on this a little, but I believe we'll understand this even more when we look at the pictorial thing that the speaker, the person who made these slides, have here. He says equity gives people what they need, so all can attain the same results. That same result is now what we call equality. But for them to attain that equality, there must be equity. So equity is in the process, it's an approach, whereas what you now get as a result is equality. When you look at that first picture, the assumption here is that everyone benefits from the same support. So everybody is given equal treatment. But when you look at that picture, even though everybody is given equal treatment there, the young person, the youth, can still not see what is going on the field because there's a barrier. The benefits given to him did not allow him to even overcome that barrier. Well, the female was able to do that a little, whereas the male is enjoying the game. In the second picture, everyone gets the support they need. And that is what we call equity, the concept of affirmative action, producing equity. The lady gets a little support, and then the young lad has that high stand so that the three of them now are able to see clearly what is going on the field. And that's equity that has brought equality now. They are able to do the equal things because there is equity. And then the last one there is about justice. Okay, in which case the barrier, that barrier that was disturbing everybody was actually removed, such that they didn't even have to give any benefit, any help to any of the groups. The removal of the barrier made the three of them have access to the field. So all these terminologies are considered when we are talking about gender matters. There must be gender equity. Then the next one is gender awareness in agriculture. Yes, we are people in agriculture. There must be gender awareness in agriculture if we are going to make headway in agriculture, all through the value chain of agriculture. The people handling agriculture must have an understanding of gender roles. Gender roles. Right from the process, pre-production, through the production, supply chain, and even consumption. In genetic resources improvement, in agricultural practices, in agricultural inputs. There is understanding that in giving people inputs, in some communities, the males have access to more inputs than the females. Agricultural practices, we have some technological things that the females may not even be able to handle. Availability of genetic resources, improved ones to farmers and so on. And when the actual production system in growing, in harvesting, in food loss management, there are gender roles. in harvest, it varies from community to community. In some places, you have the females being actively involved in harvesting. In some community, in cultures, it is the females that actually do the planting. In others, you have the males preparing the lands and all of that. For anybody who's going to do any meaningful agricultural research, you must have a correct understanding of the different gender roles so that you can plan well for all these processes, even the supply chain. When you're talking about process, storage, transportation, wholesale retailing, market access, all these areas are to be considered in agriculture. Consumption, even including cooking and eating. In most places, you have the females being involved in doing the cooking. But when it comes to eating, we all eat and so on. Food management, when people are aware of gender roles in all of these chains, then we are able to plan well for agriculture and there will be, progress. Continuum of gender awareness and responsiveness. When you just take a look at this, it's telling us that when you are gender blind or gender neutral, you have to change position. By, getting trained, we need to be gender aware. When we become gender aware, we will no longer be exploitative. We'll move on to being accommodative. We'll be sensitive. We'll be responsive. And then we'll be transformative. There will be an impact on the society. So this is all about social and gender analysis. So there has to be responsiveness. In conclusion, as researchers, it's important that we appreciate the importance of addressing the distinguished needs and priorities of different gender groups at every stage of the project cycle, so as to achieve gender responsiveness in agric research for development projects and interventions. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation.